Hello everyone. It's been quite a while since I've recorded any type of tutorials, and the reason for that is I just switched from using Windows over, and I switched over to Arch Linux, or this is a Arch based distribution, and I thought I would show you how I set up GIMP for painting and how I'm going to customize the interface and everything. I haven't done that yet on this operating system, so let's go ahead and open up GIMP. And what we're going to do is customize the interface, install GIMP Paint Studio, and I'm not going to go through the whole install process on GIMP Paint Studio, but I will show you how to install, change, of course, customize the interface, install a plugin for a dynamic resize of the brush, change out the icons, and anyway, let's go ahead and get started. Now, the way I like to set up GIMP is I like to use the single window mode. So, go under Windows here, and then we'll click single window mode. So there we go. That is single window mode. And the first thing I usually do is I open and close a few dialogues. And I prefer my tool options over on this side, so I'll just grab this tab and I'm going to bring it over here and I'm going to dock it right here. And now what I can do is I'll just make this a little bit slimmer to free up some more window space. We'll come back to that part here in a little bit about giving us more room over here. So now I like to go over here and I'm going to close this tab. So you'll notice there's a small arrow over here, and you can open and close tabs or dialogues there. I usually don't have the undo. I don't usually use that. I usually use the pass. Then I'm going to click on layers, and I like to have my layers down here. I'm going to rearrange these, and I'm going to put my tool options here and then my layers after that. Now in this top dialog here, I want to add some more tabs, so I'm just going to click the arrow and go to add tabs, and actually my icons are missing, so I'm going to go turn that on right quick. And I'm using KDE, by the way. Let's see. Applications, appearance, GTK. Sorry, I kind of got distracted from that. I need to turn on button icons and icons in the menus. Apply. Close that up. We'll open back up GIMP. And let's see. Alright, there's our icons now. So the next tab I usually like to have open is the selection editor and navigation and colors, and that's about all I like to have open there. So I just drag that up so I can make that that area a little smaller. And then over down here in this area, I like to add some more tabs. I like to have my tool presets open. And up here, what else? Oh yeah, I like to also add my palettes here. But this is sort of my basic layout. The next thing I like to do is I'm going to go to Edit and Preferences. And let's see here, under my theme, of course we're going to be changing these icons here in a little bit. So, but I would just want to show you I like to switch to the smaller icon theme there. And anyway, I can really push this over to make it really free up some space. And then I'll under the tool options, I usually like to uncheck these boxes here, and then the toolbox. Now, as you can see, I have the show foreground and background color. I usually like to keep that there in case I need it, but you can turn that off in these preferences. Let me just show you. When you turn off those foreground colors, you can actually make this a little bit smaller. No, that won't work because it hides some of your tools. Now you can actually go in here, and if there are some of these tools under the tools configuration box that you can turn off. So you'll just check this little icon, this eyeball here. Let me just show you the smudge tool. Just click the eyeball there, and it turns that on and off. I usually prefer to use that, so I'm going to leave that on. And the next thing I do is you usually go to Appearance. I don't like the rulers displayed when I open up an image. I don't like the layer boundary, and I usually don't use the scroll bars. And that's in the normal mode. And then I usually go down here and I do the same thing for full screen mode. Show ruler, show scroll bars, and layer boundaries. And that's about it as far as I do the things I do there. And then usually I go into input devices, and since I'm using a Wacom Intuos 5 Touch, I need to go in here and enable that, so when I use my tablet or stylus, it'll work. So I usually choose these bottom three options, and then in the mode I go over here and set it to screen, and screen, and screen, and then save and close it up. So after that, I usually like to go to my keyboard shortcuts, and usually the first thing I do is go under the selections here and go to none, and then I change that shortcut to Control D. And if you decide to do that, you'll get a warning that you're going to reassign that shortcut from another. Let's see, shortcut Control D is already taken by duplicate, which I'm okay with that because I can just do that from the menu, and I prefer it as Control D. So I usually set all of my drawing and painting programs deselect to Control D, and I think that's pretty common. Okay, and then under image, under rotation, I usually set that to A, and clockwise I set to S. And those shortcuts that we just changed are, you have the icons over here, and you also have that option under the, I believe it's the image. So it's still there. I mean, you're just changing the shortcut for it. Tools. Under tools, I like to change my eraser to E. Oops, let's see here. What happened here? What happened here? Okay. E eraser, eraser. Change it. Well, damn it. I don't know why it keeps doing that. Okay, let's change Eclipse first, and we'll change that to Shift E. And now maybe we can change eraser. Change that to E. Yep, that'll work. Okay, now close that up. Let's go ahead and open a new image here. And we'll just choose any one. And as you can see, that gives you a lot of space to work here. Anyway, I want to change another shortcut key, so we're going to go back in here to shortcuts, and I want to change my brush, my paintbrush. I like that the shortcut to B, paintbrush, and I'm going to change that to B. And you can always go back in here and you know, change all that stuff back to the default. Okay, so I've got, let's see here. There we go. Okay, got pen pressure working from a tablet. Alright, the next thing I want to do is I'm going to go ahead and close up GIMP, and then I'm going to open up my file manager here, which is Dolphin under KDE, and I have on an external hard drive, I have some plugins and stuff I prefer to use in GIMP that I really like using in GIMP. So I'm going to open up this GIMP folder here. I'm going to split my view here. And I'm going to go to my home folder. And now this is going to be different under Windows. In Windows you'll have to find your GIMP 2.8 folder. And I'm just going to open up the GIMP 2.8 folder. And the first thing we're going to do is install the GIMP Paint Studio presets. I will include a link in the description of this video to all the downloads for this stuff. So I'm going to open my GIMP Paint Studio folder, and I'm just going to drag select all of these folders, and I'm just going to grab them and I'm going to copy them to my GIMP 2.8 folder, and I'm going to choose to write in to that folder. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to leave this folder open. I'm going to put this on the bottom. We'll go ahead and open up GIMP again, and you will notice that the splash screen has changed to GIMP Paint Studio. And so now let's open up a new image. Doesn't matter what size, but we'll use that 1024 by 768. And now all of our extra presets are there. If you need to know more about GIMP Paint Studio, just go to my channel and do a search for GIMP Paint Studio is awesome, and you can find out more about it in that video. So go to Tool Options here, and I'm gonna change to my paintbrush here right quick. And I'm just gonna choose, oh, let's see, charcoal small. Anyway, that is what GIMP Paint Studio is all about. Installing some presets and stuff. There's a whole lot of them. Anyway, just go watch the GIMP Paint Studio is awesome video, and that'll tell you more about GIMP Paint Studio. Okay, now the next thing I want to do is, when you're changing your brush size, you have to actually go over here and drag this slider around. But what if there was a hotkey for it where you could change it just on the fly without moving your brush off the canvas? Well, there is such a thing. It's called a dynamic resize plugin. So what we'll do is we're going to go ahead and close up GIMP. It takes a little bit longer after GIMP Paint Studio is installed. So we're going to open up our file manager again. Okay, and this time we're going to open up in our GIMP 2.8 folder. We're going to open up our plugins folder, and we're going to open this dynamic brush resize folder. Okay, and I also will include a link for this under the video also, so you can go download this. So we've got a readme text here, so let's go ahead and open that up. If you are using Windows, I think there's some instruction here how to install this using Windows, I think. If you're using Ubuntu based distribution, there's also some instructions in here on something else you need to install, which is the Python X libraries. Now I'm using an Arch based Linux distribution, and so I'm going to show you how to install those on Arch also. So anyway, let's go ahead and keep that open and just put it on bottom. So anyway, the dynamic brush resize is a Python script, I guess you would call it, and I'm just going to drag that over here into my GIMP 2.8 folder. Okay, now one of the first things you need to do when that's in your folder, I'm not sure if you have to do this on Windows, but I do know that you need to do it in Linux. So I'm just going to right click on there, and I'm going to go down here to Properties, and under Permissions I want to check this box that says is executable. It may look a little bit different under a different distribution or desktop environment, but anyway, you need to put is executable. I'm not sure about whether you need to do that under Windows or not. You may not need to do it under Windows, but I know under Linux you do. Okay, so now let's go ahead and put this back on bottom here, and let's go ahead and what do we want to do next? Oh yeah, I'm going to install, remember on our readme text, if you're using Ubuntu or Ubuntu distro, you can just open your terminal and open sudo apt-get install python xlib. So anyway, but I'm going to do that here in this Arch Linux distribution, and I usually use Pacman XG. And I'm going to go to Packages, and what I'll do is I'll just search for that in here, and I'm just going to search for xlib. I'm just going to copy that. I'll paste it in over here. And Python 2 xlib. So that's what I'm going to install. Just continue. Alright, that's done. So now I'm going to show you what this little plugin can do. I really love it. It's just great. You know, using GIMP for painting is not really bad. This is GIMP 2.814, by the way. when GIMP 2.10 comes out, it'll be even better because you're going to have a canvas rotation. So anyway, let's go ahead and open a new image. Doesn't matter the size again. Okay, now to use our dynamic resize for our brush, we need to go under keyboard shortcuts, and under the search here I'm just going to start typing dynamic, and you can see right away this plugin came up, dynamic brush resize tablet. Okay, and I'm going to use the Z as my hotkey. And yes, that overrode wrote my zoom hotkey, but that's okay because I still have that icon over here in my tools menu. So anyway, I'm going to press the B key and switch to my brush. And now to use the resize, you don't have to go over here and drag this back and forth anymore. Now I can resize with the hotkey, so I'll just hit Z once, and then I can start moving my stylus, and it automatically starts to resize my brush. Once I get it set to the size I want it, I'll just tap my Z again, and now I can just quickly change my brush size on the fly there. So, which is really, really nice. So anyway, that is the dynamic resize plugin, which is really, really nice. Okay, so now the next thing we are going to do is we're going to close GIMP back up, and I'm going to show you something really cool now. You know, the icons in GIMP are great. I like them. There's nothing wrong with them. But there is a way to change those icons. Now if you're using a Linux distribution, well, I think this would be the same under anything also. Let's go, I'm going to go back into, let's see, where'd we go, where's my GIMP folder? There's my GIMP folder. Okay, I've got this folder here called Flat GIMP Icon Theme Version 2. I'm going to open that up, and then I'm going to go back to my GIMP 2.8 folder, and this time I'm going to open the themes folder, and from this flat icon folder there will also be a download link in the description of the video where to get this and download it. So anyway, you have a README file and Creative Commons and license in here, so you may want to go ahead and read those. Anyway, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to take the folder here that says Decor, and I'm just going to drag that over into my Themes folder. I'm just going to say copy it there. Then I'm going to open this folder that says GIMP Orange. Okay, now all all of these folders, if you want, can be drug over into. Now, I'll tell you what, we'll just do that. I'm just going to highlight them all, and I'm just going to copy them over here also. Okay, now let's close up our file manager here, and let's open GIMP back up. Alright, now I'm going to go up here under Edit and Preferences. Now, in Preferences, you should be able to go to the theme, and those new icons should be in there. So the one I usually like to use is darker GIMP orange small, and I'll just click on that, and boom, there it is. All the icons are changed. Gives it a little bit more of a modern look. I think it looks pretty cool. You may want to leave your icons the same, because it takes getting used to visually spotting those tools. It takes a little bit of time after you change the icons. But anyway, one more thing. Let me show you what the light ones look like. See, that's the light theme, and I really don't like that. So I'm going to change it back to the darker orange small. And that's what I like right there. Okay. Pretty much this is the way I prefer GIMP set up. Oh yeah, there is one more thing I wanted to show you. Up under the Edit, and we're going to go back to Preferences. Remember I said you could make this area or this bar even smaller here. You can do that, but you'll have to go under Toolbox, and you'll have to turn off, let's say there's some of these tools that you don't use very often. I don't use a color picker because I always use a hotkey for it. I usually don't use, I almost never use a pencil, so I just turn that off. I usually don't use the clone or the heal. Let's say OK, and now with those turned off, you can really scale this toolbar down really small. And if you need those tools, or just remember, you can always go back up here under the Tools menu and access them here, or you can go back under the Preferences and re-enable those. So anyway, I think that is about it. Hopefully I didn't confuse anybody or get a little long-winded, and maybe I went too fast or too slow for somebody. So please feel free to leave a comment. Make it nice though, alright? Anyway, that's it for this video tutorial. Hey, you guys have a great day. See ya.